Yeah, okay. So, if you just look in scans, that's my scale. Do you disagree with any of it?
Well, I most certainly do, but I don't know what it is yet. So let's take a look.
Oh,
In scans,
yeah, in scans.
Kanaguri relative to Sakamoto relative to Takamura. Yeah, I disagree with basically all of it.
Which part specifically? Like, do you
Like
disagree
quite
with?
literally every step of the chain is wrong. Like
So
quite
you
literally every.
disagree with Kanagari relative to Sakamoto?
Yeah.
Okay, we can get into that, I guess.
At least relative to the Sakamoto that fights Takamura, yes. I think he goes relative to
Oh,
Sakamoto earlier in the story.
wait, why do you think the Sakamoto that fought Takamura is any different?
We know Sakamoto grows through fighting people that are on that order level. So obviously stronger post Kanaguri fight than he is during the Kanaguri fight. He continues to fight people on a similar level as well, so he should just continue to grow.
Can you prove he grows stronger from fighting these all level fight? I don't think he's ever stated or implied that he does.
It's stated that is the only method by which he can grow, and it is the reason in its entirety which he is fighting Torres now. It's the entire reason he's fighting Torres. Yeah, I can get the scan for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kendaka just says it's the best way to grow. I don't know what chapter that is, though. So it might take me a second. Oh, Azten's here. Azten, you're my scan guy. Do you have the scan for Kendaka saying fighting order level people makes you stronger? Like, faster? Or it's like the only way to get stronger past a certain point? No, he has all the scans. He would know the chapter, I wouldn't know the chapter.
Azten just read it like 20 times, that's why.
I'll grab it real quick. Thank you. Thank you.
Azten, why are you sending this scan? Oh, he's grabbing it, okay.
Rewind, you're caught up with the story, right?
I think I'm like 10 chapters behind or something.
If you're there's no way you like aren't familiar with that scan if you're only 10 chapters behind. There's no way.
I'm gonna be honest. Most of the fucking Torres and Sakamoto shit I was not interested in. But I remember the Kindaka stuff, but I don't remember Kindaka saying that though. But like I haven't read the story in a while, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. He does in fact say it. He does in fact say it.
I mean, if I'll accept this kind of exists, I guess, but like, I just question how much the growth rate, like how much he would grow from that, because first of all, in between the time from the Kanagari fight to him fighting Takamura, I don't think he fights any of all the level fighters in like a actual exchange.
He fights Konaguri himself, right? So obviously post fight he grows there. Who else does he fight in between these two things? Like if he fights literally anybody relevant, then
he doesn't fight anybody relevant. What happens?
He fights Shinai Agaku.
No, that's before. That's like 20 chapters before.
Is it before? Oh yeah, because that's how they get in. That's how they get into the JAA. You're right. You're right.
What happens is
who else does he fight?
Nobody, because it's the flashback, and then they go and save Akira. But when they go and save Akira, they don't fight anybody because fucking Vion comes out and says, "Oh, we don't want to fight Sakamoto," and then it just goes straight into the fucking exhibition, which he doesn't fight anybody up until Takamura. So I don't.
Okay,
think
so he would get stronger throughout the Takamura fight. And again, he's stronger post Konaguri fight than he is during the Konaguri fight. So there's at least like two meaningful points which he's gonna grow stronger.
Yeah, I just question how much you would grow from that though. Like,
Aston, where did you send it in scans? Okay, yeah, it's in scans if you want to take a look.
Well, what do you got against me? I got nothing to teach you. If you want to see that, you can take some realist training like now, escaping the jaws of death. How am I supposed to do that? By fighting you know who? Oh, I disagree with this. It says to grow you have to escape the jaws of death. I think in this instance it is specifically referring to Torres, but I don't think fighting all the level fighters is the same as fighting Torres. I think in this instance with Torres,
anybody that can push you to that level, right?
push push you to the brink of death, yes, but I don't think Kanaguri does that. I think Kanaguri fights on an equal level, but he doesn't put Sakamoto in the jaws of death. He doesn't damage him enough for that because they're on such a similar level. Whereas someone like Torres just absolutely no-diff Sakamoto to the point where
Torres
he gets
doesn't do
put
any
on.
damage to him, like at all.
Dude, he's got multiple bruises on his face. Like if you look
Yeah,
in the second scroll at the bottom.
bruises have some sort of correspondence to near death in your mind. I think a way
Yeah,
more
there's
likely
very
interpretation
high
is to not
damage.
take this hyper literally, and we can just index it to people that are capable of pushing you to that point, as opposed to people that do push you to that point. Because nobody does push him to that point.
No, I disagree with that. I think pushing him to that point, I don't know what that point would refer to in this instance. Kindak is very literal with the statement, right? He says someone has to put you in, you have to narrowly escape the jaws of death to be able to grow, right? Which actually makes sense because throughout the story
It's going
so
to take
far,
extreme training, and then he gives an example, that being like narrowly escaping the jaws of death. He does not say the only way in which you can grow is through escaping the jaws of death.
no, I disagree. I think in this instance, the extreme training is narrowly escaping the jaws of death. I don't think there's any other
He says
extreme training
like
that's going to make.
as to present some sort of example. This is not to say this is the only mechanism by which you can grow.
Wait, but
Obviously,
what
if
would
this is the only mechanism by which we could grow, there would be no point in saying extreme training. If by extreme training he only meant narrowly escaping the jaws of death, this would be a redundant sentence. There'd be no point in reiterating the same idea
I
different ways.
don't. I disagree with that. I don't think it's redundant. I think it's him elaborating on what extreme training means in this instance. Because obviously, to a person, extreme training can mean a lot of different things. Extreme training is different for everybody, right? Obviously, for you, maybe a 10-kilometer run would be extreme training, whereas for like a marathon runner, that wouldn't really be extreme, right? So in this instance, he's specifically clarifying to Sakamoto that narrowly escaping the jaws of death is what he needs to do.
Well, by proxy, wouldn't narrowly escaping the jaws of death be extreme to anybody? I don't see how this is analogous.
It
At
depends
least
on
I'm
the
throwing an
instance.
analogy.
I agree with that. I agree that narrowly escaping the jaws of death is extreme to everybody. But I think in this instance, he's saying to Sakamoto, well, yeah, there is some extreme things you can do, Sakamoto. Right? Like for example, I would agree that fighting someone like Kanaguri, that's still a hard thing for Sakamoto to do, right? But Kindaka is specifically stating that the extreme training that he needs to do is at such a level where he needs to narrowly escape the jaws of death. He's obviously
That's the same
elaborating on
question
what.
is if that's what he needs to do. For one and for two, your interpretation is just inherently less likely because the guy he's directly talking about fighting, he doesn't even do that. He doesn't get
Wait,
anywhere near
I
death
already
in the
explained.
6 fights he has with the guy.
No, I disagree. I think he does come close to death, and we already
You
established that
think
there was
bruises are
damage.
close to death? He
I think
takes
they can. I
arguably
think they can
worse
be.
damage against what's his name? Kanaguri.
He bleeds from Kanaguri, but first of all,
Yeah,
that's
blood
another.
loss is infinitely closer
Yeah,
to killing you than being bruised. Like very obviously.
no, it depends because Torres, first of all, he uses a weapon that his fighting style, like he doesn't cut you open like Kanaguri does. Kanaguri's method is cutting you open, whereas Torres is hitting him with punches and kicks, which isn't going to
Torres
cut
can
you open.
shoot you
In what do
completely
you say,
open.
sir?
Torres' fighting style is one that would allow you to create holes in somebody. He just shoots you with sand.
No,
I
but
don't know if
I
you
don't
realize,
think
but
he.
small pieces
I
of
don't.
sand have like an insane PSI when being shot at a really
Wait,
high amount of force.
that's
It's
fine.
gonna
I
rip you
agree with
apart.
that. I'm saying that in this instance, I don't think Torres is using that against Sakamoto because that would have a higher chance of killing him, and he doesn't actually want to kill Sakamoto.
Okay, so if he never has the intention to kill Sakamoto and he doesn't actually bring Sakamoto close to death,
Wait,
doesn't want to do anything that has a high chance of killing the guy,
that's
then what reason do we have to believe that he narrowly escaped the jaws of death in that fight?
wait.
I mean, we could
So
just pull up the panels. If you want to look at the visual representations of what's done to Sakamoto, it's not bad at all. He's able to fight the guy 6 times in a row.
wait,
Like his
that's just
recovery time in between fights is super, super low. All he does is get hit a couple
he
times.
can have a fast recovery time. That's fine. He also recovers from like fighting Takamura and getting stabbed by Uzuki in a short time.
After
He's like
almost a week,
after almost a
he's
week.
in bed for almost a week.
That's fine, but I think
And
also
that I
I
would say
think
is
his
like arguably
recovery.
near death. This is not anywhere near death. Again, he
No,
recovers a bit.
First of all, within the hospital, like he's in his fat form, which is just gonna have lower recovery rates because fat
Why?
people just can't. Fat people can't recover as fast as actually physically fit people.
From these sorts of injuries, what sort of reason do
No,
we have to believe that? Like at all?
from any sort of injuries, I think it's in a generalized sense.
You think it's what?
I think it's in a generalized sense. Any sort of injury. I
Yeah,
think
what reason do we have to believe that? Like at all?
that physically fit people recover faster than fat people.
From like slashing type of injuries. Yeah.
No, from any injuries in general. I mean, we can search
Wait,
up
if
studies
you
on
think
this.
it's
I'm sure.
indexed to every injury, then please feel free to show me a study, show me any sort of backing
Sure,
at
we
all. I'd be
can.
very happy.
Yeah, sure, I can scout the study. You do feel like I got you. I'll just search up a study. I don't want to use ChatGPT. Do physically fit people tend to recover faster from any type of injury than less? Yeah, it says any. I searched up any type of injury. I can send some of the studies that's listed here if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. I don't know which one specifically. I guess this one would be the best one.
Wait, no, this is indexed to like obese people, not like overweight people. Fuck, I'm looking it up myself.
I haven't even sent.
And obesity creates all sorts of health complications. No, I took the
GizBob,
time to
you
look it up myself.
realize? Okay, that's fine. It can. I think in this instance, first of all, your own study can be indexed to obese people. I think this study here is just physically fit people.
Okay, let me look at this. Okay, so it's almost entirely contingent upon cardiovascular issues.
No, it isn't. If you look down within the study, it states
Okay,
that.
so look, basically the entirety of it.
So you read
Really
the
skimmed it.
the entire what a 1,000 word study. You read that in a minute, Gizbob. No,
I said I
I don't
skimmed it,
doubt.
but
Oh,
that was
you
super
skimmed it.
rhetorical. Keep going.
I don't even think you could skim 1,000 words in like less than a minute, even if you tried. Like, or at least skim it to a point where you get actual information out of
Yeah,
it. I just don't think
you're
that's
welcome to think
possible.
that. Continue.
Well, I think everyone would agree on that. I just think you're lying about reading the study. But okay,
Yeah, keep going.
if we just keep going. I mean, I was going to, but thank you. Yeah, but if we just look at the stand, it says organ systems involved. It says cellular level. The skeletal muscle plays a crucial
There's
role in body
organ
development.
systems involved in relation to what?
Organs, well, just in a generalized sense. In terms of what I don't even know.
Index
I
to
don't even know how
what?
to say
Point
this.
to me the part of the study,
Mus,
because when you say brief
muscular, mus.
portions of a study that you yourself didn't read, I'm not very inclined to take your word.
Wait, I'm reading the parts I'm sending to you though. Like I'm reading the parts. It says musculoskeletal system. Muscular adaptations to exercise involve changes in muscle fiber composition and function driven by the specific demands of physical activity. These adaptations
Okay, this
alongside
is indexed
skeletal.
to exercise recovery, which very fucking obviously somebody who's overweight is going to recover slower from exercise. Sure.
Wait, first of
This is
all, I
not
don't think
at
it,
all
I don't.
analogous to getting your stomach cut open.
No, I disagree.
Not even remotely.
I don't think it's indexed to exercise
It,
recovery. I think it's
the
indexed to
name of the
recovery
study is
in general.
Exercise Physiology Rewind, and the part of the
But
study that you just quoted is speaking in reference to exercise recovery.
no, first of all, it wasn't in reference to exercise, the part that I quoted. Second of all, the name of the study is exercise physiology, as in what will your physiology be like after exercise, and that's fine. That
Okay,
doesn't prove it's
so
only your
after
recovery within
exercise
exercise.
indexed to exercise recovery. What about this draws
Okay,
any sort of
no,
relation between
I
exercise
disagree.
recovery and getting your stomach cut open?
Bob, you're just repeating your own claim. I already said that exercise physiology, that being the name, doesn't inherently prove that the recovery is only after exercise. It can be saying that your body after exercise will recover generally faster than people who haven't exercised, right? So if you've done more exercise in your lifetime, your body's going to recover faster than somebody who hasn't done more exercise, just because your body's more used to recovering.
Okay, which is not going to be applicable to Fat Sakamoto anyways, because he's
Why
done
would
more
it not
strenuous
be?
exercise than basically anybody.
I don't think you can
Anybody in the
prove
real world, by
that.
far.
I don't.
I
No, I
don't
don't think you can
think
prove
you
facts
don't think I
tomorrow.
can prove Fat Sakamoto has done strenuous exercise.
No, it's
So
strenuous.
when he
It can be
fights people moving
strenuous.
fast and fucking
Bob.
bullets, he's not doing
Yeah,
any sort of strenuous exercise.
Bob is strenuous in terms of his own physiology. So I don't think you can prove it that pushed him to any degree, or his actual you know.
I can show
like
you him having
actually,
difficulty in fights in his fat form, like very
he
obviously.
can have difficulty in fights, but I don't
Difficulty
think it's
is
consistent.
correspondent to being strenuous, right?
Wait,
So
but
when we
I
say
don't
something is
think
strenuous, it's to say that something is difficult.
wait, I don't think it's
So if
I
you
don't
grant
think
that, you grant both.
I don't think it's consistent enough though to be able to reap these benefits.
Consistent over what time period? You do realize he's been doing this like his entire life, right? Exercising,
Yeah,
same body.
he's been
It's not as if
in it.
his fat body is an entirely different
He's
body. It's again the
saying
exact same body, right?
no, it's a different body. I don't think.
It's a different body. He swaps between two entirely separate bodies. It is
Yeah, I
not
think
two
that's
states of
fine.
the same body.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
You think what's fine?
That it's two different bodies. Yeah, I think it's
Okay,
two
in what
different
sense are they
bodies.
distinct?
In what sense are they distinct? One is like physically from the other.
Okay, so two states of the same body. We can move on.
No, I think one is a state where he's not physically fit, and the other is a state where he is physically fit. Which, in this instance, I think it's
Experience or
more.
exercise would be attributed to both. Again, granting it is the same body, which
No,
it
I
is.
don't.
We
I
see him
don't.
swap between the two forms freely.
Well, I disagree with that. First of all, can you send an instance where he swaps between the two forms, really?
He's so dishonest and sad. Let me get the boiled fight. This is like
This is
really,
not
really low level.
dishonest, dude. It's literally
You
like
don't think he can swap between the forms? Like this is like
he,
really low
dude,
level.
he can exert himself to a high degree, which burns off the fat. I think he's like choosing to become fat and then choosing to become skinny again. I don't think he can do that on command. Otherwise, he would have done that on the fucking like Takamura fight instantly instead of running in Takamura's face in his fat form and like risking getting cut in fucking half by this guy.
He doesn't fight him solo in his fat form. He jumps him.
No,
I don't really think he's risking
literally
anything, but
no, he runs in front of Takamura's attack in his fat form and then moves out of the way of it. Like while he's alone fighting Takamura, he literally moves in front of
okay. So if
Takamura.
that was sufficient, if that was going to be sufficient to burn off this sort of fat and allow him to go into his slum form, he would have gone into his slum form, but he doesn't until after this. So
I don't think
seems really inconsistent.
Wait, where did you have this gun?
I didn't even send a scan. I'm speaking in reference to the instance that you tried to use. But if you want, we can use the scan from that fight when he does switch to slum form.
Yeah, I think the instance with the Takamura, I think that was enough to burn his fat. Just
Okay, so
because
you
he's
think him
got,
running
he
4 feet?
knows. I think it's such a fast attack that he has to move at speed that can burn that much calories. Yes.
Okay, granting he does burn that much fat. Why is the change not instantaneous after he makes the movement?
I think it is instantaneous.
It quite literally isn't. We'll just
in that
pull up
instance,
the.
yeah, you can send the scans.
What chapter is that fight?
No idea. I don't remember the chat. You'll have to ask us. I'm not like
Yeah. As to what chapter is that fight? Or if you have the scan where he switches.
Fat Sakamoto versus Takamura.
I can get it. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. Just when he switches to some form.
Like 11 to 12. What the fuck is Venom talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Superior. Good chatter. Some scans. Thank you so much, man. This shit is absolutely. Oh, I was about to say that shit is absolutely not in scans.
Azten's a liar, man. So when the scan is not shown to not be instantaneous.
Wait, my argument is that it's instantaneous. To check the point. I said instantaneous in the sense that it immediately follows the two movements you spoke in reference to, which it does not. This form change is external to the two movements you said were sufficient to burn that amount of fat. Quite literally.
I think it does. I think it is instantaneous after he does the movements that are required to burn that fat.
After he does the movements. Okay, so the movements are what's burning the fat, right? Upon completion of the movements, we should expect a form change, right? But we still see the smoke after the fact. The smoke is always correspondent to his form change. Every time we see him change forms, we see that cloud of smoke.
Yes,
so we see the form change is not directly sequential to the movements, right?
No.
He does the movements, is in fat form, then changes.
No, GizBob, I disagree. I think he does the movements which burns off the fat, right? which is why the smoke is there, because the fat is being burned, because that would like energy being released and like at such a fast rate. It's
Why
going
doesn't
to
he
release
change?
that.
Okay, why doesn't he change for one throughout the movements? Obviously, you're gonna burn a proportionate amount of fat with each given movement you do. Doesn't fucking happen. It's not like he gets skinnier as he moves, right?
I
He's
think he
either
does
fat
get
or
skinnier as
slim.
he moves. No, I think he
Okay,
does get skinnier as
why
he
do you
moves. I
think
think.
that?
Why do I think that? Because that's just how
Yeah,
that burning of fat's going to work. Over time, as you move, you're going to burn
that's
more
what's
fat and
in
become more
question. We
skinny.
can move on.
That's fine. We can move on. I don't think you invest
Yeah.
anything. So, what's the next point you want to say?
Is that all you want to cover for Konaguri scaling to the same Sakamoto that fights Takamura?
Well, that was like all that mattered, I guess. That there was like the point was, oh well.
Well, no, like I think every step of the chain is wrong, so we're gonna go through the
Yeah,
rest.
I meant like in terms of the first part of the scale. That was
Oh
all
yeah,
that
yeah,
mattered.
yeah. Okay, why do you think
Well,
Sakamoto is relative to Takamura?
based on their fight, I think they just showed relativity to one another.
I asked you why. You said based on the fight. Like, what
Well,
instances
they
are you
like
speaking in reference to?
they exchange blows with each other. They like Sakamoto can
They never
consistently
exchange
dodge
blows with each
attack.
other, by the way. Never happens.
They don't exchange. So does Sakamoto not shooting with a gun? Sakamoto blocks it.
That's not exchanging blows is to say each party threw a blow at each other. Takamura just gets shot at and blocks it. That's literally all that happens. Each blocks the
Yeah.
guy's attack very casually.
Sakamoto throws attacks at Takamura, and Takamura also throws attacks at Sakamoto. Right. So I would call that an exchange of blows.
Okay, that's just to say they had a fight, right? So it's
Yeah,
not actually
I
anything
agree.
meaningful.
In
It's just
my
say they had a fight. I agree they had a fight. Yeah,
yeah, they had a
very
fight
obvious.
where Sakamoto was able to consistently dodge Takamura's attacks on multiple different
Yeah, from a
instances.
distance, sure.
From a distance. I disagree. I think literally in the scan you just sent, he dodged it from like close range.
What attack does he dodge close? Wait, what attack does he dodge close range?
The sword attack where Takamura slashes at him and his glasses are left there while he dodges.
Oh yeah, it's like a drastic change in speed suddenly. So of course Takamura is not
That's
going to
it.
attack as fast for an opponent that is slower.
I don't think you can prove Takamura would hold back in character.
His level of strength is directly correspondent to the opponent's bloodlust. Bloodlust is
Yeah,
correspondent to level of strength very consistently in Sakamoto days. So
wait.
seems to
First of all, First of all, I don't think you can prove Sakamoto's level of bloodlust changed from his fat form to his slim form. I think
well,
that's
it inherently would have to. Granting he switches into slim form, that is indicative of more effort. So more effort is going to be a higher level of bloodlust or higher
No,
willingness
I
to
think
take down an opponent.
no, I don't think that makes any sense. I think bloodlust can raise your power, but I don't think your power raising means bloodlust. I think
No,
it can
it
go one
inherently
way.
does. What do you define bloodlust as?
Bloodlust, like how much you want to kill a person.
Okay, so when you put in more effort directly correspondent to killing somebody, right? That's going to result in a change in how bad you want to.
No, because I don't think there's any evidence Sakamoto was trying to kill Takamura here.
Okay, so you think he exhibits no bloodlust whatsoever?
No, I think he can exhibit like an amount of bloodlust where it's noticeable to Takamura, but like he doesn't act on it. Like for example, I think there's always in the back of his mind that I should kill this person, but I think he doesn't act on it in that way.
That wouldn't even be a very strong response. So again, granting he does put in more effort, that means his willingness to do this thing, even if you think he does not act on it, has increased, right?
No, I disagree with that.
Why?
Because I think in this instance he's putting in more effort, as in he's putting in more effort to restrain Takamura, but the
He
bloodlust
doesn't
in the
ever
back
make
of
an
his
attempt
mind
to
is still.
restrain him. He shoots him with a gun. That's all he tries to do is shoot
He
at him.
can wait. I don't think shooting someone's going to kill them. I think
You
shooting someone
don't
can
think shooting somebody's going to kill them? That is
Well,
very new.
Hold on. Shivers in BC now, so everyone.
be quiet, please. Thank you, King. Anyway,
Shivers, shut the fuck up.
anyway, yeah, I think in this instance, right, like for example, a punch can still kill someone, but I think it's being used in a way where it's in a person or like put them
Do you
out
think
of commission
shooting somebody with
rather
a
than
gun
killing them.
is meant to restrain? Okay, so you're going to drop the
No, put
restraint
them out of
entirely. In what
commission.
sense?
Put
Okay,
them
so
out
put
of.
them out of commission, right? Can these same actions being taken to kill somebody not put somebody out of commission? Granted that
Yeah,
our
but
level of
I
durability.
think in this instance, what's more like coherent with Sakamoto's character is that he's going to do it to put someone out of commission.
Yeah, you can think that's more coherent with his character. He's shooting right at the guy's center mass, which is like more likely than basically anywhere the guy, aside from his head.
Can you?
Right?
No, first of all, I don't think that's true. I think shooting someone in
You don't
like.
think he's shooting at center mass?
No, I
Or you
agree.
don't think shooting at
Mass.
center mass is likely to kill somebody?
I said that before you said, "Oh, they're gonna shoot him in the head." Obviously, if you're aiming for the head, that's more likely to kill them.
Yeah, I'm saying external 2 shooting at the head, shooting center mass where all of your vital organs are for the most part is very, very likely to kill somebody, right?
Wait, first of all, I think Sakamoto is like an expert marksman. I think he can like know the specific spots on a person to aim where it's going to hit them in the center mass, which is like not the center mass, it's going to hit them in the body, which is the largest part to hit, and therefore guarantees like it's actually going to land. Where it also doesn't fatally wound them. Like I think he knows the specific spots to shoot for that.
Okay, so the issue with that is going to be, for one, we know his marksmanship skill has decreased over time. We see this via the data book. For two, your ability to hit a moving target is going to be correspondent to how fast that target is moving, right? So if the target is moving as fast as you, if not faster, which Sakamoto obviously is, it's going to be very, very difficult to hit these hyper-specific parts of the body as opposed to hitting the center mass, generally speaking. We can even just look at where the bullets are going when he shoots at him. Like, he's shooting this guy, like, right near his fucking internal organs.
Yeah, first of all, can you send the data book statement you're talking about? That says it's like
Ashton, do you have Sakamoto's data book stats? His marksmanship is a fucking 4. It's lower than people he scores higher than on marksmanship tests.
Well,
I don't have terms. I can't unmute you. What
Sakamoto?
Slim Sakamoto? It's like the images we get. Assumedly it's Slim.
Yeah, but like which Slim Sakamoto?
What does that mean? His marksmanship skill doesn't ever change. That's the story.
No, I think it would change because he's shooting a gun more. Because he's shooting guns more, he's getting more proficient with them as he's shooting them more.
I don't think he increases in proficiency. And his peak proficiency his peak proficiency is far higher than anything he demonstrates.
Talking
for one.
about, dude.
For 2, he shoots a gun like 3 times. Yeah, the bottom left stat is marksmanship.
Let me see.
4.
Let me see what you said next. Scans. Which one's bottom left?
That's marksmanship.
That's fine. I guess. Who does he like? Can I just ask who he scores lower then? Who does he have a lower marksmanship stat that he scores higher than?
Well, he's infinitely lower than people like Takamura for one. He's lower than Kamihate, lower than Heisuke, equal to basically every other order member who doesn't use a gun. He's like equal to Nagamo, who he scores higher than. He's like equal to Shishiba, scores higher than. All these people don't use guns, and they have a 4.
With Heisuke is supposed to have a higher marksmanship score because he scores higher than Sakamoto on the test inside of the.
I agree. I'm just giving examples of who he's below.
Yeah, my point is Takamura. We don't really know his proficiency with a gun. He could have infinite stats with a gun. When does he use a gun?
The data book. The data book tells us he's the best marksman in the series.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I thought you were saying like, oh, Sakamoto in his prime would have been above Takamura. Like,
he does outscore him.
When is Takamura shown to have done that test though?
Every other order member is shown to have done that test. We have high priors.
I think all the other order members are young enough where they would have attended the assassin school, whereas Takamura is like this old ass.
So Satoda attended the school, but not Takamura. Somebody who's like fucking 90 years old attended it, but not Takamura.
Dude, Satoda, first of all, is not 90 years old. Takamura is way older than Satoda. Like,
why?
I think. Why do
you think? I'm sure you
why
think.
Yeah, I do think that. Why would I not think that? I know you're sure.
I just asked you for any sort of justification, but you don't
well,
have.
within the story, I think we see Satoda's like younger version. Like when she's with fucking what's his name? Sakamoto within the school, I think her version just appears younger than Takamura when we see Takamura in the order with Sakamoto.
Wait, when do we see Takamura in the order with Sakamoto?
We get like a little like wide pan shot of all the order.
Also, you do realize
you
do realize Sakamoto in the order is later than Sakamoto in school, right? So those
by like a year, by like 1 year, which I don't think that would make any.
No, he's in school for 3 years.
No, but he's in his 3rd year when we see Satoda with him.
Okay.
So it would be 1 year later after he's graduated.
Sure.
Which is also why he's already graduated when he finds Vion, and Vion was missing for 1 year exactly.
Yeah, I agree. He was in school for 3 years. That's what I said.
Yeah, but you tried to imply that the Satoda we saw was 3 years before the
No, I just said it's before, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's before in terms of 1 year before. I don't think 1 year makes a physical difference in terms of appearance.
You don't think 1 year makes a physical difference in terms of appearance for old people?
No, but for people in general, just
Oh,
other generalized thing.
that's a really
Well,
horrible misconception. So
besides like very young children, of course, because they like age at like a faster rate.
they age at a faster rate. What does that mean?
Yeah, I just think they like grow
What?
quicker than. Dude, what is Marky talking about? Marky, shut the fuck up, dude. You just said Sakamoto wouldn't get higher marksmanship from shooting. You need to keep your mouth
Yo,
shut.
please stop swearing. Please stop swearing.
My bad. I'll keep it PG from now. Yeah, I think. Wait, what did you say? Sorry, like, Marky, like got me distracted. It's V. Nothing. What did you say? Sorry, GizBob.
If you just do like a quick Google search that references like the AI overview speaks in reference to 21 sources that all say yes, a year of age can lead to noticeable differences in appearance. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I younger age, but I don't think at an older age.
Why? Where are you getting there? There's no distinction made
what
about
the
age.
fuck
Where are
are
you
you
getting this
talking
clear
about?
distinction? Why do you keep
Dude,
saying that?
Marky, shut the fuck up, dude. You are retarded. You lost everybody in the server. Get past second, yeah, first. Anyway, I'll grab like a study.
A study that says people demonstrably age when they're younger. Yes, I agree. But what is to say they don't?
No,
They're
I
older.
mean in general, old people don't show change after a year.
Okay, yeah. If you can show me that, I'll just be super impressed. Because the last study you presented was not even really in line with what you were saying. Or you didn't even read it. You just sent it, and it was super
I
misinformed.
mean, it did say what I said, but we can disagree on that, I guess. Yeah, aging changes in body shape. Body shape changes naturally. Yeah, I guess I'll just end this. Like, there's changes in terms of things like one sec. Yeah, there's changes in terms of things like hair color or like body mass, right? But like in terms of things like
There's changes to the facial structure as well, even in old
can
people.
you
Again, as their skin thins, their muscle mass decreases, all these sorts of things can lead to a change in facial structure.
where are you getting this from?
From like a one quick Google search would tell you this, but if you want like something hyper specific, I can link it to you if you want.
Yeah, sure, that'll be fine. By the way, Truth, just delete the fucking tier list, dude. Just let me know when you send it out, by the way.
It's in scans.
Okay. The person actively changed with age plus muscle tone and thinning skin gives the. This doesn't really give like a time frame over how long it happens.
You don't need a time frame. These processes are consistent throughout the entirety of your life, basically. These
I agree
actually, some of these processes, i.e., loss and muscle definition, are only present when you're old, right?
Yeah,
Thinning
I
skin
agree.
only present when you're old.
Well, I agree. Over like a long period, they can be present. I don't think there's any evidence over a very short period that an old person, for example,
So
will
if
lose.
changes are made within a year, right? You would grant that these changes are existent within a year, right? These
Their
changes do happen.
existence, but they're existent, but I don't think they're noticeable. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so 21 sources on an AI overview would disagree with you. They are noticeable.
You can send them because I don't think any of them specify a time range.
I don't think you need a time range specified when the processes are visible at basically any age. They exist very obviously at any age. And they make a visible difference in appearance at basically every age. So we have our prior set, right?
Over a long time period.
How many
I'd
sources that
agree
agree
with
with
that.
what I'm saying? I don't know.
Wait, but
Why is it over? It's
I'm
not
asking
over a
you
long
on
time
this.
period. Once again, it's indexed to a year of age. Like I'm getting this AI overview because of a year of age, right?
Wait, can you send the sources and we'll look through them and see if it says a year of age? Or if it's indexed to a year of age.
How do I get all the sources that it speaks in reference to?
No, we can go through them one by one if you'd like.
Sure. Different stages of aging face. Let's look at this. I get like the individual things that this is speaking a reference to, like the
So
AI
we have to do
algorithm.
is you have to press, you have to open the entire thing, and then you scroll down to the bottom, and it'll give you the sources it uses.
Oh, okay. Trying to find one that like specifically speaks in reference to a year, but remind me because I don't even know if you had a good response. What was your response to saying if these things are present, we'd already have our prior set?
What do you mean by first set? Like,
Okay.
I never said that. What I said was, one sec.
Well, no. I'm saying that's what I said. I'm asking
Oh,
what your response was.
yeah. My point was, within an old person, I think the changes can be present, as the studies say. Like, my entire point was, I don't think there's any evidence that they're physically present over 1 year. Obviously, these changes are still happening. They can become present over a long period, right? Because small changes over a long period are gonna like amount up. But I don't think there's any evidence that over the short term they would be noticeable.
Okay, so how do you think we observe these small changes, right?
I think we have like technology
How do
that
we
can
think
observe these small changes.
Okay, so what sort of technology we would need to observe these sorts of changes, right?
I'm
That's
not
where I'm a little
entirely sure.
confused.
I just know we have
Okay,
technology
can you
to
can
observe
you
them.
point me in the direction of any sort of technology that we use to gauge these sort of things as opposed to our naked fucking eyeballs?
Just medical technology, like within
Yeah,
hospitals.
what medical technology? That's
Well,
what I'm asking
I
you.
don't know. I don't know, Gizbo. I'm not a
I'm
doctor. I'm
asking
just
you if you
saying.
can even point me in a reference to the existence of such a technology or its
You
use.
don't think technology exists that can like pinpoint differences in aging?
No, I think we can do that with the naked eye. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we need these sorts of
Oh, yeah.
technologies. That's why I'm asking you to point me
Wait. So
in the direction of this technology.
you don't think it exists, though, or do you think it exists?
I'm entirely unsure as to whether or not we have technology hyper specifically designed to accurately assess what has changed as you age
Wait, I
within
don't
your
think it's
appearance.
hyper. I don't think it's hyper specifically designed to just test that. I think it has multiple purposes. My point is, it can also be used to determine
Okay,
changes in
yeah, so
person's age.
just point me in the direction of this technology.
Well, Gizbo, how would I point you in the direction when I'm not a doctor? I'm just gonna assume they exist because we know
Okay, so you
small
assume it
changes.
exists without reason, right? Or do you
No,
have
I
any
have
sort of
reason.
justification?
I have
What's
reason.
the
Just
reason?
like, for example, I have like a 60-year-old grandma. Like, I can't notice any differences from like when I see her 1 year to when I see her the next year, even though the entire year of time has passed, right? So in this instance, if I can't notice any differences on her physical body, right, I think my like seeing is perfectly fine. I don't know if you disagree with that. I think my sight is perfectly fine. So obviously, if I can't notice any differences, then I don't see any reason why these doctors would suddenly be able to see differences with their naked eye. Like, I don't see any reason for that.
Okay, so for one, this is like loading a lot of stuff that would be sort of important, like as to how often you see her, all these sorts of things. But for two, you do understand that there are exceptions to this, generally speaking, right? So maybe your grandma just like stepped in the fountain of youth or whatever and does not age in your eyes, but mine does, and basically everybody else's does. I don't even think this is like any sort of sufficient basis to say, oh, well, we should assume this technology exists because I don't see any meaningful change with absolutely zero backing.
Wait, so over a year, do you see meaningful change in like your parents'
And
appearance?
basically the entire, yeah, basically the entire. Well, my parents are also much younger than the people we're speaking to, right?
Wait, but you originally said that like this was in text to all people.
Yes, I think there's observable differences in basically everybody's appearance. Yes.
My dad just disagree with that, like based on what I've seen. But like
It-
you can send
uh,
evidence supporting it, as I've like said.
I don't even need to send evidence supporting it again. It would just circle back to these changes result in physical difference. No matter how small, there is obviously some physical difference, right? These changes are compounding and happen over a given period of time.
Well, yeah, I
So
agree with that,
there
but
are
I don't
physical
think.
changes that are observable, even if minute, right? That
No,
happened over.
I disagree with that.
You
That's
disagree
what's
with their
question.
observability in its entirety?
No, over the short time frame, I don't think there's any proof they're observable. That's my point.
Okay, it would again. You've gone full circle here. It would just circle back to how else they observed, which you don't really have an answer to. You just said, "Oh, well, I can't see them," so there must be some mechanism by which we can do it.
Wait, what you said?
Oh, I said again, you've gone full circle here. That this would just circle back to then what is the mechanism by which we observe these changes, which you don't really have an answer to. You just have this weird presupposition to there being technology that does this thing for us because you don't have any observable difference.
Well, I gave an explanation for that, but I think we can just end this
Yeah.
point here now.
Gladly.
Do you have anything else you want to go over? Or like,
Let me pull up the chain.
I think the only
Where is it?
thing
I think I scrolled past it.
the only things left would be Takamura relative to Taka Uzuki, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
Taka Uzuki massively
why do you
over.
think Takamura is relative to Takuzuki?
I think it's just stated in a data book that the copies that Taka Uzuki comes up with are equal in terms of strength to the original.
Okay, so that's not what's stated. You can show me what you're talking about, but
I said, can you send
not
the
what's
scan?
stated.
Actually, I might have the scan. Let me check.
He's asking for the closely replicates thing.
Let me see this. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna wait for it to send. Search. Oh, here you go. I found it. I forwarding this to scans.
You're talking about the thing that says he closely replicates the power of the person he copies, right?
Yeah, that.
Okay, you do
fine,
understand the person he's copying is his perception of the person as opposed to hyperliterally the person, right?
I don't think there's any evidence for that.
There's clear distinctions between his copy of Takamura and actual Takamura. For one, his copy of Takamura can't actually speak clearly. All he can do is mutter, right? Never able to form a coherent sentence, not once. For two, he attacks his allies, which is also not in line with what Takamura does. Again, Takamura only attacks people that are direct threats or enemies to him. Takuzuki just attacks people randomly. He attacks his own fucking allies on panel.
Who? Sorry. I think Takamura also does that though.
He attacks his allies? Please show me.
No, he puts people close to him in danger. That's my point.
No. Takuzuki directly attacks his allies. I'm not talking about inadvertently putting them in danger. I'm saying he directly swings a sword at his own fucking allies. Takamura doesn't do that. Ever.
I think that would actually be evidence that it does copy the personality exactly, just because in this instance he's attacking Kumanomi, who is seen as an enemy to Takamura.
Wait, okay,